Coastal Carolina and Troy hosting huge midweek ball games. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, good morning, everyone. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, we will get to Coastal and Troy here momentarily. We'll let you know where the RPIs are heading into the week. And for somebody who always, well, complaining may not be the right word, but maybe pointed out that the Cajuns didn't have a rival, they do now. All right, this the Southern Miss Raging Cajuns baseball rivalry, maybe along with football, is going to be a fun one, and that's coming up this week, and we will talk about that. All right, so we have some huge midweek ball games, and they aren't all built the same, although pretty close, right? Coastal Carolina hosting Clemson. Coastal Carolina has already beaten Clemson one time this year when Clemson was number 3 in the country. Heading into this ball game, at least RPI-wise, Clemson is 8, Coastal Carolina is 12. Okay, so a couple of things are true here. If Coastal Carolina loses, they're not really going to fall all that much. I don't think they are in danger of falling to 18 or something like that. They may not even fall to 14, all right, if they lose to Clemson. And Clemson, if they lose, I guess they could fall a spot or two, but they're right on that spot for national seed. So, that's a thing. And that's part of the conversation here. But they're not going to fall all that much either. And they'll have the ACC tournament to make up for falling a spot or two. So, not a big deal if either team loses. Now, it helps if someone wins, right? Coastal Carolina could move up to 10 or 11 and then maybe be close to that spot where they could be hosting. Maybe Clemson falls a little bit. They flip, right? Maybe Coastal Carolina goes to 10 and Clemson falls to 11, right? They've beaten them twice. So, as it took me a minute to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but nonetheless, it is a good opportunity for both, and it's not going to kill either one of them if they do lose, right? Big spot. Also, did you see all this stuff that Coastal Carolina? First of all, it's the first time that they're selling out at Coastal Carolina, which is amazing, despite being really good and a defending national champion at one point in time. But they they're getting like $1 hot dogs and half-price beer before the gates open. Parking in Lot QQ opens at 2 p.m. On Tuesday, while stadium gates open at 4:30. Fans can enjoy $1 hot dogs all game long and half-price beers from gates opening until first pitch. All right, well, that's what the press release says right on the Coastal Carolina website. So, not quite sure what that means, but $1 hot dogs and half-price beers sound pretty good. All right. So it's a big opportunity for Coastal Carolina to not only solidify themselves as hosting, but put themselves in a possibility of a national seed. All right. And yet, not much downside in this case. Whereas the Sunbelt Series they're playing, ULM and ODU, really only has downside. Like what we've been talking about with Southern Miss and Troy lately. You have to win or else losses could hurt you. All right, moving on. Troy is playing Alabama. And what I love about these is that they're huge for both teams, right? A lot of times, I mean, I could go look, but LSU just lost a midweek ball game. That doesn't really hurt LSU per se because they, all their, like everybody in the SEC is ranked in the top 20. So that doesn't really matter, right? Going to drop them a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. In this case, it's win-win for both teams. All right. Which usually you don't see in these midweek ball games. And sometimes, even for the Sun Belt team, you can't lose some of these midweek ball games because it's going to hurt your RPI. In this case, neither is the case. But a lot of times it is, that big-time SEC school you're playing or ACC school where they're not going to play their big-time guys because they need to get some other guys some work in. They need to rest some guys. I don't think neither Clemson nor Alabama can necessarily afford to do that. So now we move on to Troy is hosting Alabama. Alabama comes into this action 13th in RPI. So they are right there where same spot as Coastal. They want to solidify themselves at an at-large berth and potentially move up to national seed. And yet, again, same thing goes for Alabama. They finish strong in the SEC and make a run in the SEC tournament. They're going to have a shot at a top 8 seed. All right. Win or lose this ball game. Lose, and they'll fall to, well, here's the difference. Troy coming into this is 42. So they'll drop a couple of spots, but it's still a top 50 ball game. The thing for Clemson and Alabama is it is road games. So they do get bonus points for winning. And it won't hurt them dramatically if they lose. Whereas the home teams do, you don't get quite as many points for winning, and you do get held against you for losing, regardless of how good the team is. And this is a great opportunity for Troy, right? Because Troy, again, is the only team in the country that has won every single series and yet finds themselves 42. You got Southern Miss fans wondering why Troy is ranked like 14th in the nation in some media polls. And yet Southern Miss, who is like 30 RPI, can't find themselves in polls. As Southern Miss fans are finding out how polls work. Get in there, win, and you don't move down too much. Lose to Marshall on a Sunday, that's going to hurt you. Lose to Georgia State, that's going to hurt you. All right? And that's what happens. And so anyways, Troy finds themselves in 42. Lose, and you're probably not going to fall that much. Maybe 43, 44, maybe. But if you do fall to 44 and you're at Arkansas State and you lose one, as you have done all year long, right? I don't think they've swept anybody, haven't lost a series, but haven't swept either. And all of a sudden, you've lost one to South Alabama and you've lost one to Arkansas State, and you've put yourself squarely on the bubble. Now, yet you got Southern Miss coming back at home, but you'd much rather be 40 or in the top 40 when you're playing Southern Miss rather than 48 or 49. You're putting yourself in a tough spot, because if Southern Miss goes in there and takes 2 out of 3, which it would not be unheard of, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but would be not insane. And then all of a sudden you're in the mid-50s and you're probably not going. Now you're not even on the bubble. You're off the bubble. You've won every single series except one. Now you're in this position where you have to win the Sun Belt Conference tournament, I think. But that's a long way off. It's 2 sold-out midweek ball games. Should be great. Coastal Carolina hosting Clemson, and Troy hosting Alabama, having Tuesday and Wednesday off. We're going to see a lot of baseball here, these two tonight. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's take a time out. We will look where we are RPI-wise, who is on the bubble, who is not. When we come back, I will tell you about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day, having a little coffee on a Tuesday morning. For those not watching, it's not bourbon. It could be, but it's just coffee. Okay. So heading into the week, where we already went over Coastal Carolina is 12, and Troy is 42. Southern Miss is 30. So Southern Miss, with their sweep over Arkansas State, moved up by a grand total of one spot. Oddly enough, they dropped from 31 to 36 by winning Friday and before playing Saturday. So if you guys don't think that they would have been closer to 40 than to 30 with one loss to Arkansas State, I don't know what to tell you. All right. Cajuns are playing well. They are 15-9. First of all, Coastal Carolina's 20-4, 2-game lead over Southern Miss, who's 18-6. Troy 16-8, big win to stay within 2 games of Southern Miss and 1 game ahead of the Cajuns. All right. Cajuns sweep Georgia State. They are 15-9. RPI of 102. Again, RPI means nothing to them outside of uplifting the rest of the conference. Texas State with a sweep. They have a pretty good RPI despite being a 500 club. Bunch of P5 ball games. 74 RPI. They are 12-12. ODU is 12-12. Their RPI is 119. They've had an odd RPI for being 17-26. Right? We've kind of been through that all year long. Georgia Southern missed opportunity. They dropped to 11-13. Their RPI is 138. Arkansas State got swept, really only had a chance on that Friday night ball game, losing 2-1 on a home run in the 9th. They're 11-13. RPI is 146. App State has lost 9 in a row. Ouch. They've dropped to 11-13 in the conference. Marshall is sitting at 10th. And just a huge missed opportunity with Marshall. They and Old Dominion flipped. They could be sitting at 12-12 and in the 5th spot. Instead, it's Old Dominion taking 2 out of 3 from Marshall. They're 12-12 in the 5th spot. And Marshall is fighting for their tournament lives. Georgia State is 11th, 9-15. South Alabama, 2 games back. They're 8-16, along with James Madison, who doesn't happen to be last because they took 2 out of 3 from Georgia Southern in Statesboro. And ULM, who seem to be heading towards the tournament, now finds themselves 6 straight losses, 7-17. They are 3 games behind Marshall in the 10th spot with just 2 weekends left to go. So, I mean, Marshall seems to be in a good spot, but these things can change fast. And no one in the country has been on more of a roller coaster than Marshall. See if I can do this off the top of my head. They lost 5 in a row and 6 out of 7 to begin the season. Then they won 9 in a row. Then they lost 9 of 11. Then they won 5 in a row. And then they lost a handful. And then they won 7 in a row before losing their last 2. So we'll see. Who does Marshall have? I guess that would be the question that I'd like answered this weekend. Marshall is at Georgia State. And who does Marshall end up with? Marshall hosts Georgia Southern. So let's just say it for what it is. If Marshall doesn't get into the Sun Belt Conference tournament, it's on Marshall. All right. They're not playing Coastal, Southern Miss, Troy, or the Cajuns, or even Texas State at this point in time. Georgia Southern just lost 2 out of 3 to JMU. Georgia State just got swept by the Cajuns at home. Marshall doesn't get into the tournament. It's on them. All right. Now, I don't know if they got banged up. I don't know what the case is. If they are, that is, I'm much more of a reasons guy than an excuse guy. But if they don't get into the tournament, it's on them. All right. We will see how the rest of it goes. As for the RPI and the conference RPI, we're going to be stuck basically, in that, in that ridiculous 6/7 spot. They are 7th right now, but they are a full, they are a full, 0.007 behind Conference USA. When we started looking at this a month ago, it was like, 0.003. Like they had a shot to go above Conference USA, and now they really don't. I guess a couple of wins over Alabama and Clemson could help that, but that seems way out of reach right now, like way out of reach. So basically right now, heading into the week, you have 2 teams that are secure with their at-large berth. One team is looking to get a national seed, right? Coastal Carolina is hosting and looking to get a national seed. Southern Miss, at-large berth, real outside shot at hosting. I mean, they got to run the table and win the Sun Belt Conference Championship. And that's going from, forget 30 where they are now. That's going from 44 all the way up to 16 in about a month. That'd be impressive. All right. And then you have Troy, who is, bubble-ish territory, sitting there at 42. Beat Alabama, and you're going to be off bubble territory. Lose, and you're sitting right there. And you're just putting yourself into spots where you have to go on the road and sweep Arkansas State. That is not going to be easy. That is not necessarily going to be easy. All right, let's take a time out. We got a huge series for both clubs. You got the Raging Cajuns all of a sudden playing a little bit better. Has not been a great season for UL. And you got Southern Miss, who is second in the Sun Belt, got the second best RPI, but not ranked. So they're not particularly happy about it at all. And it is finally the rivalry that the Cajuns have been looking for. We will talk about that right after I tell you about Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so quick reminder, the reason I am doing Locked On Sunbelt, cover the Cajuns for, about 5.5 years, and then South Alabama for about 3 years, and then went back to the Cajuns for another year. And the one thing that I noticed about UL is they didn't really have a rivalry. It should be ULM. It's not. It's just not. All right. It was Arkansas State for a little bit. They were the 2 top teams in the West. It might be Texas State now. Troy, pretty good. And this is mostly football side. And it very well could be a Southern Miss. I think before I got there, and I got there in 2013, they used to have a big time rivalry with Southern Miss. That may have been a, preseason series on a regular basis, preseason series preseason conference series, if you will. I will try that again. Pre-conference series on a regular basis, just because it's convenient, right? You don't have to get on a plane, and it's economical and it's good baseball. All right. And I think we've got that rivalry again. And both teams are good. Both teams have passionate fan bases. Both teams have wise ass fan bases on social media. And it's a lot of fun. There is a modicum of respect. I mean, I even saw, if you can believe, Raging Cajun fans, specifically Rage and Review, rooting for Southern Miss when they were playing Tennessee. I mean, I thought, the devil got a little chilly when I saw that. Danny Lynch has been a recurring nightmare in Cajuns' dreams, probably continuing until today. They are a thorn in the Cajun side, and the other side is the same. I was working, this would have been 24. I mean, I had to check it. I thought it was 23. I didn't realize it was only 24. So just over a year ago, working the Louisiana high school boys championship, high school championship games, and listening to Jay Walker, the voice of the Cajuns. Must have been on the app because I couldn't have got the station too far out of town. But coming back from Lake Charles to Lafayette, and it's 2-0 Southern Miss, and Kyle DeBarge is at the plate. And I think there's 2 outs. And there's runners on at second and third. And Jay Walker, I'm pretty sure Kyle DeBarge was 0 for 4. And Jay Walker said, I don't care what Kyle DeBarge is right now. I am walking Kyle DeBarge. And wouldn't you know it, Kyle DeBarge hits a 3-run home run. Is there something to be said for not putting the go-ahead run on first base? Okay, but I'm not pitching to the best guy on the team. Now, they did it again the next day. It's almost the same situation, except it was the 8th. 2-0, Southern Miss. Guys on second and third. Kyle DeBarge at the plate. 2-run single. Now, Southern Miss ends up winning the ball game 3-2. Doesn't mean that, what are you doing? And Kyle DeBarge went on to have probably the best season in Raging Cajuns history, and that may have jump-started his season. Cajuns did take 2 out of 3 last year. So Kyle DeBarge is in the nightmares of Southern Miss. And there are great social media accounts to follow. And again, it is it is hate. It's a strong word, but it is hate. And there is mocking between the two schools, and Hattiesburg and Lafayette, Louisiana and Mississippi. Plenty of jokes to be made between the two. But there is this in the back end of it. I think the other side knows the other. Both sides know the other is pretty good. That's the thing, right? Like, that's why they get so mad when they lose, is because we know the other side is good, and it means so much to win. Now, this series, it's important for the Cajuns not to get swept. I don't think the Cajuns are in danger of losing a spot, right? They still want to be 4th, and it's going to take a lot to climb over Troy. They lost the series to Troy, so they're going to have to win 2 more games than Troy. Troy's got Arkansas State and Southern Miss. So what's that going to be? Is Troy going to go 4-2, sweeping Arkansas? So if they go 3-3, say they take 2 out of 3 from Arkansas State and lose, that means the Cajuns, I think they get Georgia Southern to wrap up the season with. That means they got to take 2 out of 3 from, they get Arkansas State, but at home. So that means they got to take 2 out of 3 from Southern Miss and sweep Arkansas State, that's not very likely. So the idea here is for the Cajuns not to get swept on the road. All right. And certainly the idea is for Southern Miss to win the series. Cajuns with that 102 RPI, right? Southern Miss not going to fall that much if they, lose one game, but they'll fall a little bit. They'll fall back to the mid 30s, right? They're 30 now. So they'll fall back a little bit if they do lose at home, certainly one game. If they do lose 2 ball games, they'll be closer to 40 than they would be 30. And then they're right back in that bubble territory, which they don't want to hear about because their reputation and their AD is on the committee. All right. Yeah. If you don't think you want to be top 40 compared to top 50, that's on you guys. But as a G5 who've seen plenty of teams in the top 50 get left out, I don't want any part of that. And yet if they take, if they do take 2 out of 3, they'll probably fall a little bit. But if Southern Miss sweeps the Cajuns, then they could be, they'll be top 30 and really set themselves up certainly for an at-large berth. And again, way outside shot at hosting. I mean, way outside shot, right? They would need some help for them to, have to take 2 out of 3 from Troy, maybe sweep, and then at the very least get to the Sun Belt Championship game to even think about it. And then still, that may not be enough. You may have to win it, right? That last part isn't out of the question. I mean, Southern Miss could very easily get to the Sun Belt Championship game and win it for that fact of the matter. Sweeping the Cajuns and taking 2 out of 3 or sweeping Troy in Troy, that's probably not that likely. So could certainly see Southern Miss going 4-2 over the next 2 weekends and, probably being top 30, probably being somewhere, 25 to 28. And you're sitting at a potential 2 seed somewhere. So you'll be in good shape. So I'm looking forward to the rivalry. It's a lot of smack talk between it. Actually, Nick Domain wrote a great column on Rage and Review if you want to check it out about the back and forth between the 2 schools. And again, if you read it, there is a lot of tongue in cheek, but there is a modicum of respect, at least from his point of view, in the column. So should be a great series and important for both teams. All right. Because we are off on Wednesday, we will stay up. Maybe a quick recap for the games. Let's see what time they start here. Coastal Carolina is outstanding. That's 5 p.m. Eastern time. Outstanding. And then the other one, Troy, is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central time. So we can stay up a little bit to see when that finishes up. All right. So we'll have maybe quick recaps for that one. And then full recap on Wednesday's show. So we will do that. And we are trying to line up our football coaches. So we shall see. We've reached out to Tim Beck, reached out to Butch Jones, and we've reached out to Mike Desmond. All right. Contact. We'll just say contact has been made. All right. We will see where we get with all those 3 coaches. All right. Do appreciate their time. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a tremendous Tuesday, and we'll talk to you again on Wednesday.